Hey there, it's Sam here from BMT School of Music, and in today's lesson, I'm going to be showing you how to play a crazy little thing called Love by Queen. This is an amazing strum-along song, and the great thing about this is it's got a few other little things going on that take it away from the typical open chord campfire strum-along, hence why in our BMT guitar program, we put it into level 3. So I'm just going to whiz you through some of the items that are in here. So the first thing on this chord chart, you've got all the chords. So you've got D, D sus4. If you haven't ever done D sus4, it's basically a D chord. You actually tend to hold the D chord as normal. And then all you actually do is you add your little finger to the top E string, fret 3, like that. And that makes a different kind of sounding chord. Think of all chords as being like ice cream. So if you think of D as being maybe vanilla ice cream, it's like adding a flake to it. So D, D sus4. An extra note, just adding that little finger. Of course, on the chord chart, what you'll see with the notation is it won't show you to hold that second finger still here. That just is a tendency sort of in practice when you're playing this chord. It sounds really nice. You've also got A, C, E, B flat. So if you don't know B flat, that is a bar chord. Again, this is a level 3 song, so it's a little bit harder. It's basically like taking an A chord up 1 fret. So you'd have an A, like that. And you're taking that chord up 1 fret, including the open A and the top E string. So they are barred with the first finger. This could be a whole lesson on bar chords. So you have that, and then you have fingers 2, 3, and 4 on the D, G, and B string. You don't worry if your top E's not ringing clearly, that's fine. If you struggle to get all 3 fingers like that, what you can do, like I do, is I quite often lie the third finger flat across those 3 strings, or I lie the little finger flat. In fact, that's what I tend to do more often. You've got to have quite a strong little finger to do that. But that's your B flat chord. And our strum pattern, we've got 2 different strum patterns in here. So the first strum pattern is one where you have 1 chord for a whole bar, and that is a folk strum with a shuffle feel, and that is down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up. Again, this could be a whole lesson just on learning this strum pattern called the folk strum, and something called ghost strumming, which is where you miss the strings on a down strum. So you have down, up, then a ghost strum down, and then up, down, up. So essentially, really what it's like is actually doing all downs and ups like this, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Oops, here we go, down, up, like that. With a shuffle feel. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And all you have to do is just miss 1 here, but you would still strum downwards, or I should say move your hand downwards, to be able to get that double up strum. So as I say, that could be something that you spend a whole lesson doing, and what you might notice with this lesson, there's a few different items all put together. If you're working at level 3, you should have a fair grasp, an idea of what bar chords are, and know a few bar chords, what folk strumming is and ghost strumming is. So that's your main strum pattern. And when you get half a bar of each chord, you'll have this strum pattern, which actually is the same thing twice. So it's just down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down. So for example, if it's F and C, down, down, up, down, down, up, it just means that they're basically both doing the same thing. There is also a random riff as well. If you know the song really well, you might already recognize this. Like that. Next thing is the way that the D sus4 is used in the intro, and also the way this is notated. So quite often what you get with chord charts is that a chord chart basically is meant to be a really shorthand way of writing music. It's just saying it's this chord, you strum it this way, and you do it for this long. If you actually do this as a full tab or full standard notation transcription, it uses up a lot of paper for a start, and there's a lot of note reading. So for every single strum of a chord, you've got the whole chord tabbed out, 0, 2, 3, 2 if it's a D chord every single time. If you're strumming that for, say, 4 bars, it's going to take up a whole line just doing that. And it actually makes the process of learning harder. And one thing that we're always, or with my sort of philosophy of teaching, is that we're always just trying to sound good. That's the most important thing. And the back of the napkin approach is basically like what a chord chart is. However, sometimes there are elements of a chord chart which you have to kind of repurpose the chord chart a little bit, add in like a little bit of tab, or add in some other little detail that doesn't really fit in with a standard way of writing chord chart. I was first sort of drawn towards this by Rob Hampton of heartwoodguitar.com. I absolutely loved the way his chord charts are done. Pretty much one of the only people I've ever seen in the whole entire world who actually writes how long you play the chord for. It's just such an amazing thing that turns around the whole way that somebody can intuitively follow it. It had a massive effect on my students' learning. I've done it ever since. I've done that probably for I think about 5 years now. I've been doing them like that. And before that, I probably used to just use tabs a lot more. And to be honest, I think I probably used to use tabs and then just end up drawing chord charts on the back. Anyway, I digress. So the way that this this intro is played. So what we've got is a weird way of writing the bar out. So what we've actually done is each dash is representing half a beat, including the chord name. So we have half a beat here, second half, third half, fourth half, and a further 4. So it makes 8 halves of a beat. So that will be counted as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So 8 sections or 8 half beats. So the first 2 of them, 1 and, you'll strum down up on that D. Then you'll strum the next 2 and you'll strum D sus4 and D. So this is tricky a little bit. And I'll do that off the screen show as well. So you're literally strumming down with the D sus4 and up with the D. If you do that repeatedly at full speed, and it's quite a weird feeling, but what you want to try and be working towards is that the downward movement of your pick goes with the downward movement of your little finger, and the upward movement of your pick goes with an upward movement of your little finger lifting off the chord. Like that. You don't have to be able to play it endlessly like that, so it doesn't happen. So you'd go 1 and, 2 and then for the rest of the bar, you're just going to play it as a D, the rest of the bar there. So that'll be 3 and 4 and. So the whole of that bar is going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And there's another little bit you got to add in, which is where you do that ghost strum down. So down, up, 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 down, up. And it's that D sus4. 1, 2, just on that second beat. Very, very distinctive. I've taught this song before omitting that from it, and actually quite often students will be able to hear that there's something different going on there. They won't be fobbed off by the sort of dumbed down version of the song. So once you've got those elements down, once you've done the chords, once you've done the little riff, once you've worked out the D sus4 intro thing going on, you'll find that working through the song starts to speed up. So let's have a little look at the verse. So let me just play this from here, from verse 1. This thing called love, I just can't handle it. This thing called love, I must get down to it. I ain't ready. This little thing called love. The second verse is exactly the same. So we have 2 bars of D with that folk strum. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Then we have 1 bar of G. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have half a bar of C and half a bar of G. Don't forget that we said when it is half a bar, we're going to have, or 2 chords per bar, as is written here, that we are going to use a different strum pattern. So it's going to be down, down, up on the C. So down, down, up, and down, down, up on the G. Down, down, up. Just going to go on something slightly different. You see this line here. Sometimes, if you're struggling to understand what that kind of goes like or sort of looks like, sometimes what can actually really help is if you actually draw it out like this. So if I had a D for 2 bars, so that'd be like that. Then I'd have G for 1 bar, like that. And then I'd have C for half a bar and G for half a bar, so it's a little squashed in. If you watched many of my other lessons, you know I just very much do these things on the fly. So 2 bars of D, 1 a G, half a C, half a G. Sometimes just seeing it like that can really help. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how basically most of that verse goes. And so the next bit is this bit here. So you've got 1 bar of D, half a bar of B flat, half a bar of C, and then 2 bars of D, but it says stop on bar 2. I'm going to dissect this. So 1 bar of D goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Half a bar of B flat. So we've already been over that chord. Half a bar of C goes. Now half a bar of D, stop on bar 2. Let me just draw what that might look like if I did it slightly differently. So 2 bars of D, stop on bar 2. I'd do a stop as like slashes like that. So you'd have a strum through like that, like normal. That bar would be, and then I'd just literally strum 1 D like that. But I do it all continuously. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's when you do it with the lyrics that it really comes together beautifully. I'll just come back on that screen share a second. The crazy little thing called love. If I include the D at the start, I ain't ready. Crazy little thing called love. And you might even find that you start doing some of that by ear, by what it sounds like on the record. Don't forget that I'm not always demonstrating the song in these videos, partly because the YouTube copyright actually will take my video down if I screen share the actual song in it, and also because you're hearing it from the teacher as well. And this is something that people always underestimate when they're in a lesson or they're following a video, is they hear the teacher playing it and they forget the value in actually just playing through the record, trying to play along with the record, playing snippets of the record, rewinding back and forth over the bit that they're trying to do. It's massively important, and I have gone over that in some lessons where I have screen shared the song and it's not been taken down by copyright. I don't really understand how all that stuff works. I'm sure there's a way around it. So that is the whole of the verse. This thing called love, I just can't handle it. This thing called love, I must get round to it. I ain't ready. The crazy little thing called love. So I hope you're enjoying the lesson, and I hope you're starting to get the hang of it. So we've got this bit here. This is verse 2. It's exactly the same. And there's a bit of a formatting issue here. I'm going to fix that at the end of this lesson. So these chords should just be directly above that, with these words actually at the end of that line. Here is the chorus. There goes my baby. She knows how to rock and roll. She drives me crazy. Gives me one cold fever, then she leaves me in a cool, cool sweat. So again, some of the notation is repurposed. Firstly, 2 bars of G. You should be getting the hang of this by now. So 1, 2, then 1 bar of C. So 1, 2, 3, and another bar of G, and that makes up your 4 bars on that line. Then 2 bars of B flat. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Half a bar of E and half a bar of A. Then F, it's just F stop. So that's just going to be literally play 1 F. So instead of a whole bar of F, it'll be more or less sort of taking up the whole of that bar, but it'll stop and then just rest through it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We kind of think of that as being the F. I suppose we sort of have the sound of the F echoing on. So you'd have that A, F, 2, 3, 4. Then it goes to the riff. So again, a way that the chord chart is repurposed is it says riff. Basically, that's easier than actually trying to jam this whole chunk of tab in between the lyrics. And that is just And as is the case with a lot of traditional guitar tab, you know, the rhythm that you play that with, that comes from listening to the record. There's no guidance, there's no strum pattern or picking pattern or anything equivalent that you get in a chord chart. You can actually quite successfully play a chord chart without listening to the song if you're careful enough. So that is just extremely easy. It's just frets 5, 4, and 3 on the A string, all downstrokes, and on the E. The great thing about this again is like you get a break out of just the traditional campfire open chord strumming. Then you're going to strum an E and an A. Okay, so there isn't a rhythm written in here. I think when I was transcribing this, I just thought it was getting a bit much with so many different things going on, and it is really easy to hear like that. So you've got 6 strums of an E as a triplet fill, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then just a single A. You've got that A stop again. So you'd have this. Like that. And that's how that chorus ends. And we are actually nearly to the end of everything that goes on in the song. We've got a third verse that's exactly the same as the other two. Then we've got a solo. And this is really easy to follow because this section is exactly the same as in the chorus. So exactly the same. And this bit here is just literally 2 bars of B flat, 2 bars of D. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the next bit underneath. Then it's verse 3. No guitar in this verse, but you could strum it anyway. So it's just singing, no accompaniment to that. Then it does verse 1 again, and then the outro is just the end of, look at that, we've got the old BMT logo here. So you've got the end of the chorus, or the end of the verse, 6 times to fade. So you just have maybe a little fade out, or maybe I just sort of go out with a bang. And that is how to play Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Obviously it's level 3. If you are working around level 3, you should find that you comfortably go through this. There's a trick with finding songs that are inspiring to you, that make you want to pick up the guitar. Like I remember the first song that I ever heard that made me want to pick up the guitar. It was inspiring to me. But it wasn't necessarily the right level for me as a complete beginner. And sometimes complete beginner songs are not as inspiring, and this is level 3, so not beginner. But what you should find, that Goldilocks song is one that's like just hard enough for you, but not too hard that you get put off, or you can't really do it quickly enough. It should just be kind of gently stretching you. A bit like if you go running and you want to train for a marathon, you're not going to start by running the length of a marathon. You're going to start with half a mile or a mile, and you're gradually going to creep that up a little bit. And what you're doing is you're pushing yourself with this sort of Goldilocks length of time that you're running for, or distance that you're running for. It should always be the same. That's why I love my guitar program, because we use it as a framework and not an absolute set method for learning. You can dip in and out of it as much as you like, but it definitely keeps you on a great sort of structured pathway whilst learning really fun stuff. Anyway, hope you're enjoying strumming that one. Catch up with you soon.